live! Hey folks, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchist Ted.
And, we're going to talk about D&D and things and stuff. And I was thinking today we could, build a random encounter dungeon. Something like that. We could have some fun with it. Apparently, I was already on this page for creating stuff. So I guess we can either do it by some things by committee, or we can just start randomly randomizing stuff.
Well, it's one of the great things that's out there. Is some people think that creating a dungeon is so much work, and really there's so many resources that are out there that you can either go purchase or use online for free that make it really simple for you, depending upon what you want to use.
You got the dice that actually make dungeon rooms, right?
Dungeon Morph dice, there's a variety of different options. I have the adventure set.
I'm still hurting from the loss of Morph. You had to go there, didn't you?
They're big D6s, and you can see that they're complex, of what's on each side, and you can use these to really just figure out what you want. With these ones, each one is complex. You can determine, well, all right, this is going to be a hallway for a little while, and then I'll roll a die to see what happens. And you just literally have the ability to build out a dungeon as you go.
What is there, 6 of them you got here?
There's 5 dice there.
5 dice, yeah. The maths.
So there's
a little tray for this one.
Why, so we don't clatter?
It's too loud for me. I don't know about everybody else.
We have dice trays.
My ears.
But there's barracks, there's dining halls, there's great halls, worship areas, unusual designs. If you want to roll onto a book.
There's a stack of dice trays over there.
Maybe Doug would want to reach this one.
If we had my Jedi powers. All right, this is the high one, so this will be the one we start with. All right.
Great. Tray. Excellent.
Yeah. We're going to need a room. Although I guess one of the issues is they're not going to really see what these look like.
So I
don't know. Can you see that? Look, squint really hard.
The other options that are out there, if you've got your trusty DMG, page 290 literally has a random dungeon section. Talks about the starting area, passages, passage width, doors, chambers, stairs. So you really have the ability to figure things out. But it's a little bit more streamlined than what the dice would be able to do. And if that's not good enough,
just literally go to Donjon and you can just hit a button, it'll spit out
a fully made dungeon.
Yeah.
I've also got Atmar's cartography put out by Norse Foundry and Creature Curations. And those are cards that are designed to either be able to allow you to randomly populate a dungeon as you're moving, or take the cards ahead of time and figure out, okay, how what's going to be the dungeon layout that I like best. So I've used the Enter the Fiery Pits in one of my games, and I really enjoyed using it.
So in less time than it took Ted to explain, I have a 9-room dungeon layout.
Nice.
That's previewed, and it may or may not be stocked with monsters.
Well, that's the joy. Sometimes you want a dungeon that you're going to put your monsters. Sometimes you want somebody to do all the work for you.
Ooh, we have a construct button too. So I used to do that. I used to like making random dungeons in the DMG in first edition. I was really happy when they included those charts in 5e. I don't know if it made it in the 3rd or 4th. But, definitely I was like, oh, this is definitely a cool throwback to the previous editions of the game.
Well, it's something that, some DMs are not as good with the creative aspect of that, but they still want, or still need the ability to have dungeons. Let's face it, it's called Dungeons and Dragons for a reason. You're expected to go into a dungeon at some point.
What is Verthex? I don't know what that is. So apparently because I know what hex is, and I know what, there it is. This looks like hex to me. I don't know why.
It goes up and down? I would just assume it's vertical.
I guess, but I don't know if there's a huge difference between vertical hexes and horizontal hexes.
I don't know, but it's nice made up dungeon there pretty quick. Now, I can't. Maybe someone in chat knows. It's been a while, but there was this dungeon randomizer. I think that was based off of something from one of the older D&D books, and basically it would randomly roll for you, and you would say, well, I want to be a wizard or whatever. And you get to make these choices into different rooms. And then it'll send you to these different, it was like a flow chart. I just don't remember. I feel like I saw it early in my days with Nerdarchy, and I just don't remember what it was called. But basically it was based off those old charts.
So apparently I haven't been playing with this as much as I should, because you have basic, standard, classic, pen and paper, crosshatch, graph paper, parchment, stonework, marble, sandstone, slate, exotic, aquatic, infernal, glacial, other, asylum, steampunk, gamma. So
a lot of different
and is that like dungeon dressings, or is that?
This is just the maps.
It just puts a graphic over the
okay.
how the map looks.
Now, can you send them to yourself? Can you?
Oh yeah,
it's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, so that's what that does.
Okay.
It put like basically what Doug said. It puts the graphic over it.
Yes, I need I need to come up with something for my final encounter. But I want to put something down on the table, and I'm still looking for resources there.
If you do the asylum, it's got like a textured background, but in the map itself, there's like blood splatters all over the place.
Nice.
I guess it's nice if you're into that sort of thing, Ted.
Well, I mean, if you want things to have a visual affectation, it's kind of cool to have.
Steampunk looks pretty cool too. It doesn't really have anything to do with steampunk per se. It's just like cool, some cool graphics here and there.
Pipes in the background, I think.
But yeah, it's not like a huge deal, but it's still kind of cool. What's gamma look like?
So, what do you guys out there do when it comes to creating dungeons? Do you do old pencil and paper style and actually hand draw your maps? Do you use online resources? Why don't you share with everybody out there what you're actually doing?
There's a lot of love for random tables out there in the chat, and we do have a question from Cody Sams. Do random tables benefit new DMs or old DMs more? I feel the new DMs that can't off-the-cuff things benefit, but for that reason, I also feel like more experienced DMs build better tables.
I would think that maybe more experienced DMs can better off the cuff make up the reason why this dungeon works and flows. Like, you just kind of like start free association and connecting different concepts together, so it's easier basically to BS the players into thinking that you made this a while ago.
Case in point, in my last session, we went to a new city, and I was feeding off of what one of the players was giving me, and he was really impressed with just the flow of it. And really, I think that comes with having experience behind the GM screen. So I totally agree with you, Nate. But at the same time, as a new GM or an old GM, having a table to rely on, to fall back to in case you're stuck, is a great asset to have.
Yeah, it just comes down to like experience trumps all, like in all walks of life. So if you're a more experienced GM is probably going to have an easier time of it because they've done it more often. And I think at a certain point too, you might even just draw from stuff you've done in the past. And if it's a new group, it won't matter to them. They will have no idea. To them, it's new. So,
right.
It just makes it easier. The advantage for a new GM with using random tables is if you do it ahead of time, then maybe it'll be inspire you and give you new ideas for what you're going to do in your game. And truth of the matter is, even GMs with experience can benefit from that as well, because the whole nature of random just takes you in directions that maybe you weren't thinking of initially, but now it presents information in front of you that you now have to disseminate and do something with.
Nerdarchy is always about steal from everywhere, get inspired by everything. So even when we're doing our discussions about video topics, we do a lot of character builds recently, and sometimes it's like, well, this is where I'm seeing, and someone else puts forth a new idea, and I'm like, yeah, I really like that. I didn't see it before, but it makes total sense. So, like, the same kind of thing, can happen when it comes to, designing dungeons or monsters or magic items, repetition. You can play with creating stuff, and, if you don't love it, if you not want to use it, put it aside, save that resource for later, because it might come up.
It would, it would be fun to do this video like with a green screen the way you guys do it for you and Kenyatta, where we actually come up with it, but have a green screen where we can show like we can make this dungeon here, and show everyone the particular dungeon in that. But we could kind of like randomly select a level and let this like spit out an encounter. And then we could like build something around it. So we could do it one of two ways. We could roll a d20 and come up with levels 1 through 20, or we could see what the chat wants and have them dictate something.
So what are you guys thinking? What do you want us to do here?
And or we could do the d20 so and pick the level and maybe let them vote on the environment, right? So environments are Arctic, coastal, desert, forest, grassland, hill, mountain, swamp, underdark, underwater, urban, all the normal stuff. But then you have planar, right? You have celestial, abyssal, infernal, or you have elemental, the 4 elements. So we could do something along those lines.
I'll get another question that's not specifically related to dungeons. How do you feel, it's from Stephen Partridge, how do you feel about random tables for NPCs, and what things do you like to see in random NPC tables?
I made a campaign off of just rolling randomly. I used the DMG's table for villainy and what's their purpose and what are they doing, what are their flaws. And I also randomly rolled a whole bunch of NPCs, and I decided what the NPC was going to do, like what they were in the world, after I had them on a little index card. Then I associated like a class or a trade or something with it. So I really liked it. It was a way of getting a whole bunch of information out and then working on the creative process.
Random NPCs, I think, are a great thing. You're always looking for someone to put in there for the players to have someone to role play against. I mean, it could be a fellow prisoner in the dungeon, someone that they rescued, someone who happens to be walking down the trail in the same direction, opposite direction. It's great to insert role playing and not just have combat. But if you're not inspired for what do I want to use here, you can literally grab a random NPC. If the players, the characters really like what you're presenting, then you bring that NPC back later. They can enjoy role playing with them again. If they don't particularly care who that NPC was, let them falter off and move on to the next one.
I used to keep everything on index cards, like Nate was talking about. And I would have like these boxes for the index cards, and then you would have different sections for magic items, NPCs, monsters, even encounters. And you can always populate something like that, however you want to do it. And random could be things that you've made up that I don't know what to put here, and then you just randomly draw something out of things you've already made up. Or if you want to go real random, you can just find a random generator for the thing and really go crazy with it. So random could be like degrees of random. Like it's random, but only for these 5 things I came up with.
Yeah, I remember your little black box of index cards and pulling out, who are we going to use today?
Yeah, I might even have those around somewhere still. Although I think like my daughter got a hold of them when she was little, and they've all been scribbled on. So.
Like my box of 2nd edition Psionic Powers.
Oh, man.
I don't think my daughter got a hold of those.
Well,
I remember those boxes.
So we're getting some challenging dungeon stuff for you guys, but before that, Cody Sam says you should get green screen stuff and do it in green jumpsuits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And green face paint.
Yeah. The floating head.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons tips.
So here's a couple of dungeon parameters for you guys. A para elemental plane, that's Cristiano Gris,
4 wasn't good enough.
And Uncle Peter, says, would it be cool to see a dungeon where the rooms themselves are monsters, like room effect things? So there's 2 places for you to start.
All right, grab 2 D4s. We have those handy. A D12 would work as well. A D8 would work. Oh, look, what do you have there, Ted?
Easy roller dice.
So we can
2d4.
2d4.
Nice spiky caltrops.
Yes.
7.
No, that's not a 7.
It's a 4 and a 3.
It's a 4 and a 3. So fire and water, steam,
Yep.
smoke, steam. So the parallel elemental of steam. Because, we can't actually randomly do a parallel elemental plane on the table that I have access to.
Okay.
And what was the other thing?
Rooms that are... Let me go back and find it exactly.
Like rooms where the room is the monsters are the room.
The room themselves.
So like you would be able to incorporate traps, hazards, that kind of stuff. So perhaps like the para-elemental area of steam, like you're having to cross walkways, or even like jumping from pillar to pillar, or floating gangplanks or whatnot, while there's hot steam everywhere.
Yeah, you could use boiling water, steam geysers or geysers would work. Hot pools would definitely, like in that scenario, work for the hazards. And then so monsters is going to be, you're going to need monsters that have resistance or immunity to fire, pretty much.
Methods. Bring out the exploding methods.
Well, you're always going to need methods whenever you're talking about elemental or para elementals. Now you could have an elemental mimic. If you're looking to have a room as a monster, got a room mimic. That's great way to go.
Yeah. So obviously, I believe there is a steam method, so that makes that fairly easy. As far as like 5e hasn't really done a lot with like the para elemental stuff yet. So we don't have as many options as
it's kind of just the methods, I think.
That fall into that category.
Yeah.
So you'd probably end up having to lean on things that are resistant or immune to fire. Although you could have some fun though with combining the fire elemental with the water elemental. And a hot water elemental essentially that does fire damage in addition to what the water elemental already does.
Yeah.
Dragon turtle.
Dragon turtle, yeah, that's definitely a good choice because they have the steam breath weapon. So that would be kind of thematic.
You actually made as opposed to it being a dragon, if it was a actual elemental and you just took the dragon turtle stats.
Okay.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
Or a lot of dragons have elements they're associated with, so you can just snag some of them and just describe it as some kind of like elemental mass. If you wanted like a big fight.
Yeah, make stuff up. Obviously it would work as well. So I am talking and at the same time looking through my D&D Beyond filters to see what could actually apply, to see what monsters they spit out, because elemental there is a ton of monsters, but if I'm looking for ones that are a little more specific,
is there a steam golem in 5e?
There's not, but you could always make one. Oh, actually I want to say that the Creature Codex probably has whatever golem you're looking for, because they put a lot. They definitely came up with a lot of golems in that book.
They certainly did.
It's a book of golems.
I would think anything that's associated with water, like you said, Dave, you can have fire damage, or anything that's associated with fire, you can just kind of describe it as not on fire, but just really hot air.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously you could do the same thing with an air elemental as well, and literally make it steam. A water elemental, you can make it literally a boiling water elemental. Obviously, Doug said dragon turtle because it already has it, but you could also change things. You could always just reskin different monsters to be made of it. you can play with like the invisible stalker. I think anything airy, fiery, or woodery would work.
That's very true.
James Leslie says, throw a hag in. Everybody loves a sauna hag. And Stephen Partridge brings up a point. Says, here's an interesting thought. What about fusing elements like fire and water equals acid because it's water that burns through things?
Well, no, you could absolutely do that. But if you're... So you kind of get into the cosmology discussion of D&D.
Yeah, is it more like chemistry or is it more like alchemy? Like how things... mix.
And traditionally in the D&D cosmology, it's like what elemental planes, what happens when those two elemental planes touch. So, you know, to get acid, well, based off of elemental types for D&D, acid's always been associated with earth for some reason. Don't know why.
Because they had to put it somewhere.
Because they had to put it somewhere.
Well, it's like earth salts. You can make acids out of salts. Kind of... mineral burning.
Water is cold. Fire is fire.
But
air is lightning.
I like the liquid and burning and saying, hey, you know, that can be acid. I dig that.
It's D&D, man. You can do anything.
That's true.
Pretty much.
And you can, hey, really, as long as you explain it away with any amount of believability, the players will go for it. The player characters will go with it.
I find most of the time you don't even have to explain it. They won't. They're not even paying attention.
Or they're like, okay, magic. I got you.
Because magic.
Because magic.
That pretty much defeats all the arguments.
I always like to do the level of, so they can easily suspend their disbelief, So that's where I try and go for, rather than just hand wave. Because magic.
I agree. If you can actually put some, magic science or pseudoscience into it.
Magitech.
It makes it more fun. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Well, actually, the point that I was making, not so much waving it away or calling it magic, is the fact that there's so many times that I thought I was going to have to explain something, but the players never even asked. So, I realized they came up with an explanation that no one ever heard.
That's the the unfortunate fate of being the DM is you're going to create stuff that the players are never going to know about because it's the DM's job to populate the world, populate what's going on, and if you never go to that town or if you never look into that plot or subplot, well,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. It's not there
until something comes up and it needs to exist. So if we're doing like a random thing, coming up with something for something that we don't have access to is really not going to work. But if we were to pick something, like I said, any of the actual environments, and then we kind of like come up with a random level and see what it is and how we might use something like that is kind of what I was thinking.
Well, I don't know why, but the desert is speaking to me when you gave the list of stuff. I don't know how anyone in the chat feels about doing a desert theme dungeon.
Okay, so
I like a desert. It's got built-in hazards.
So desert, we need a monster. So how do you want to come up with the levels? Do you want to pick a level or do you want to roll?
I say we roll it.
Well, there's 20 levels. Let's roll a d20. Ooh, I get to roll. Woo woo.
Scary. It could be a 20. It's a 16.
16. That's pretty high.
That gives a lot of fun. There's a lot more things you can play with. What was the creature that we beat on Ryan? That was in a desert, wasn't it?
I feel like it was, but I don't remember because it was so long ago. I know, it was like a Medusa or something that kept geezing us, right?
That's the creature I'm talking about. I don't remember what it was though.
But there was like a crack in the ground. So from that, we've got a list of 10.
All right.
So roll a d20.
20.
Oh, why did I say d20? It should be a d10. It doesn't matter. That's a 10.
It's 10.
So an adult blue dragon.
Nice.
CR16. And 12 hobgoblins for a medium encounter for a party.
Right, so that's the boss. That's the boss fight.
I would think so. Well, it doesn't have to be because it's a medium level encounter. But depending on how you wanted to do it. So that's a very small cult. I feel really sad for this dragon.
Well, I mean,
And
like that's the final room.
Yeah, maybe this
what
is his rent.
what else? What else is there? I mean, you could literally, if should you so desire, it's like, oh, well, they're not just regular hobgoblins. You know, perhaps, you know, there's some veterans. There's some, you know, more powerful. They're hobgoblins.
My thing says CR half hobgoblins.
You know what, Ted? Not every last fight has to last 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yes, they do. He's like, you're right, Nate. You're right.
They should last 5 or 6. Yeah. So these 12 hobgoblins are the ones that are allowed to see the blue dragon and live.
They're the ones that have to, make sure the sand doesn't get stuck between the scales and scrub them.
Ear hole, whatever.
So now I'm envisioning the players bust in and like they've all got these big like scrubby brooms and brushes, and they're like,
like palm fronds all twisted together.
yeah, exactly.
Flossing his scales.
They're fanning him. It's the blue dragon and his 12 cabana boys.
Well, yeah, and there's one, the scrawny one, is counting money right in front of him.
For him, so he doesn't have to bother with it?
He likes to check every day.
Of course, why would you not?
And he's scrawny because he doesn't get to eat much, because he's got to count all that money.
And are they just cabana boys? Because literally, if you're fighting a CR-16 dragon, anything that the hobgoblins would do is
pointless.
And
you most likely ignore them and just be like, oh, there's people waving things that aren't just fans at us. Whatever.
All they do is perform the help action the whole time.
So he gets advantage against the entire party all the time.
I just see them being in the way for the first, lightning breath weapon, and
they
get incinerated, or the first fireball.
Yeah. Well, that's why they got to get in the mix. So unless there's an evoker on your side, you're gonna have to sacrifice some hit points.
So, question for each of you: where would you put that said encounter?
Well, we're going for desert, right?
Yes.
Blue dragon in a desert is kind of strange.
I mean, it also like the fact that blue dragon that's.
I thought he was ice. Oh, I'm thinking white dragon.
Yeah, it's not strange. That's where they go.
I'm getting mixed up. I've watched too much How to Train Your Dragon with my children. The worlds are starting to collide.
That is so sad.
Wow.
The worlds are colliding.
Yeah.
So your old typical hobgoblin has 11 hit points and an 18 armor class. So pretty much the first area of effect attack that goes off,
they're gone.
Yeah, but it does kind of inform us that like he probably has tribes of hobgoblins that serve this dragon. I was thinking it'd probably be like an Oasis.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna wanna control something that's important to the desert, and what do dragons like? They like wealth and power.
All right, so what if the dragon is underneath the Oasis? They've got like a whole barricaded thing, and you have to pay to use the Oasis. Hobgoblins run it, and the proceeds or some of the profits wind up going to
scout oil. You need to keep your scales well oiled for sure.
So,
that's what I would do. I like that idea. I would do a fort that's built up around an Oasis, and the hobgoblins demand tribute in honor of their overlord, the blue dragon, and he's the one that basically gets paid from it, and they might get like a penance, or they get to live, or something like that.
They get to live.
And you would put this Oasis on I would put the Oasis on a
trade route.
Maybe even almost like at a crossroads, where pretty much everyone goes through here, and it could be a thing like, oh, this wasn't here before. And now it is. I mean, we were just through here last month.
Right.
So at that level, 16th level, you're looking at powerful allies and enemies, so it could easily be a magical construct that has recently been put up. Or, Darian's Instant Fortress or something along those lines.
Well, you could go in a bunch of different directions. Like, you could actually have it slightly expanded from just the fort. And, what if there's a whole trading bazaar and, there's ways to get food, so that, there's games of chance, there's, people talking secrets, information is being bought and sold, and everywhere that business is done, the money trickles down to the dragon, the information trickles down to the dragon. You could start using this as a low-level encounter or a low-level party, and as things unfold, as you're moving about the desert, constantly coming back to this oasis because it's ideally placed, more and more comes, and eventually it's like, holy crap, there's a dragon behind this. We need to step in and do something about it.
Yeah, you can have different levels to the dungeon. You have the dungeon that is the bazaar / fortress, and then you've got the undercity, I guess, in the under oasis,
where the hobgoblins actually live. So, you have the surface where the hobgoblins kind of police things and keep things running smoothly. And then, like you said, beneath it could be an undercity where the hobgoblins actually reside and live. And then beneath, even deeper, would be, the dragon's domain. I also like the idea, you could use it early levels, like you said. Maybe you're hired by a pasha or something, and his daughter's gone missing or son's gone missing. Ran away from home in this caravan route, so you're chasing the caravan, and maybe you go to where the caravan went, and that person never made it, and you deduce that the last place they were seen was at the bazaar, so now it's like this mystery where you're trying to track down the person, and you have a kind of like a reason to hang out and adventure in the fort and the bazaar itself. There could be tent cities and that kind of thing that spring up as people are traveling through. So you could definitely have a lot of fun with that and use it for a lot of levels. Even though the hobgoblins themselves are only a half a CR, that's not even getting into their hobgoblin bosses and other monsters, because there's quite a few hobgoblins in 5e now that you can choose from.
Are they in the Ultimate Bestiary as well?
Revenge of the Horde has a bunch of
that's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Revenge of the Horde Bestiary has a bunch. I mean, there is 5 different ones just in D&D Beyond, so the official products.
What's the challenge rating scale there?
You go from a half to a 6.
Okay. And then, as always, you would be able to take the typical hobgoblin traits and put them on any NPC.
Yes, and then you're all over the place once you do that. And then also, they're going to also use lackeys and have pets. So any kind of animals, monstrosities, trolls, ogres, that kind of stuff.
Now, what is a Blue Dragon's typical alignment? Not that we would have to stick to that.
I would say lawful evil, but I have to bring it up. I believe it is lawful evil.
I don't know if you had the thing right there, but I mean, going with lawful, that would definitely fit a more structured building, with this whole thing.
I do have it right in here right now. Lawful evil.
There you go. Awesome.
Bam.
So if it fits thematically for having this structured organization, all to profit and benefit the dragon, without he or she having to lift a finger or really, put the muscle down. So I really like this.
The hobgoblins are lawful evil as well, so that pairs up quite nicely.
Sweet.
And they're also known for kind of bullying other goblinoids, so if you wanted to mix it up that way.
Yeah, goblins and bugbears would be able to work out well.
And then, of course, trolls and ogres are always great go-tos. Or, you could even do something along the lines of they've hired or manipulated like a giant into their service as well. So maybe a hill giant. So there's definitely ways to escalate this encounter. Or, maybe the players deal with the hobgoblins and they defeat them, but they don't eradicate them completely and more come or whatever, because they're probably drawn by the power of the dragon. And so the next time they show up, now they've got their hill giant buddy to help them out. And I was like, you kicked our butts last time, but here's my friend. He's bigger than you.
Could also go along the lines of Ogre Magi. Aren't they pseudo-desert dwelly?
I don't know that they are. They can be found anywhere, but that would also... I would see them, actually, though, if you had an Ogre Magi, they would probably rule the hobgoblins.
Right.
Or,
Yeah, he'd be an intermediary between the hobgoblins and the dragon.
And the dragon. A middle boss, if you would.
And if you are looking to really use this over the course of several levels, every time they think they got to the boss, It's like, nope, that wasn't it. It's dealt with. Yay! Hobgoblins are dealt with.
Which one of the video games where like they vanish and run away, and then you have to go fight to get to them again?
So I think you could have
transform.
Could have a lot of fun with it. You could have the dragon, shapeshift into an ogre magi. So like you only ever see like the ogre magi's, and you only ever see one. They defeat one. They think it's dealt with, and the dragon is still safe and sound deep below.
Oh, yeah, that's actually kind of a cool idea. The idea that he's got certain henchmen that he takes their place from time to time and sends them, or maybe when he sends them off to do specific missions, I need the Ogre Magi to go infiltrate the city and find this information or get this thing for me. In the meantime, I just masquerade as him, yeah. Yeah, or the first time they fight the Ogre Magi, it'd be great if they fought the Ogre Magi, but it's the dragon. Right? He never, through the whole battle, he never changes. But he's still got, he's still a dragon. And if you wanted to play with shape change and polymorph and not really do it the way the spell does it.
Right.
So it's it's an Ogre Magi, but it's an Ogre Magi with, 200 hit points, and when he stabs you with his spear, it also does some lightning damage. In addition to being, a spear or a glaive. I think Ogre Magi is in the Moss Battle. Use glaives.
Mm-hmm. And they're all like, oh man, I can't wait to get that magic item.
Yeah.
Suckers!
A lot of people in the chat are really liking the idea of, it being in a desert and having lightning damage, turning the sand to glass, making difficult terrain out of the glass. The person says the dragon's lair could be made of glass that he presumably...
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe the dragon has an artistic side. To them, and and that's kind of what they do in their spare time is turning the sandstone to glass, and then glass blowing.
The magic terraforming comments really neat. Really neat concept.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And then you go down there, you fight some of his boss monsters. They mess up, some of his glassworks. Now he's taking it personal. And, maybe he even gets driven off and flees, but just, works to, make their life miserable from now on just because he was slighted.
Maybe he's really hard on himself, so he has the smashing room, and when you are in the smashing room, he comes in and just, gusts, kind of wind buffets you and gets, glass shards everywhere. And
I like that idea. I also like the idea, bad things happen to the players, and just pieces of glass are left behind, afterwards, almost like a calling card. They get robbed and some of their stuff's missing, but there's pieces of glass.
Yeah.
Or even they order a meal from a tavern and it's got glass.
Oh, that's
yes, it's very much like that. There's no antidote.
No antidote for crushed glass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you could. Once they see the room and there's a whole bunch of broken glass sculptures, they're is this some kind of bizarre desert Medusa? Are we gonna die by being glass statues and being smashed?
Well, yeah. The other thing too to take into consideration is, if you do have that room of smashed glass and that's where you encounter the dragon, what if he starts buffeting his wings?
That's what he was saying.
And, I totally missed it. But yeah, no, that's a great idea. So they're dealing with this windstorm full of glass. That's all kinds of ouch.
Yeah, I would definitely, shred up the clothing and the skin and
the eyes.
Yeah.
Go for the eyes, boom! Go for the eyes. Dork.
That was a phenomenal game.
Yes, it was.
I don't think I've ever played it. I've just lived it vicariously through you guys. Yeah. Freudian slips.
It says we're doing some choppy work with the streamer. Is everything good?
The stream health is green and
it is always choppy because we run it through a program to use the camera.
That's right.
It's
used to it, nerds.
We're not that kind of nerd.
Suck it up, Buttercup. No, it's because we run through a separate program in order to use the camera, because the cameras have a sensor in it. After approximately 30 minutes, they will shut off, And I don't know if we could run it straight through OBS without that happening. And since these are an hour, we'd have to it would shut off in the middle, and then we'd have to quick turn it on, or we have to get an actual just straight up probably camcorder,
right,
which would probably then work.
Why don't we just use that?
Or because it doesn't
video
look
quality
as
is
good.
not as good.
I thought it was 1080.
Hey, just got a super chat from Jan Q Glass for $5. Thanks, Jan.
Well, it must be all the glass references that we're using.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated. We invoked glass with glass. So, do we have anything we were supposed to cover since you handle that?
There's nothing specific on the agenda. We made mention the last couple of weeks that we are doing our giveaway for the Invisible Sun over the next couple of months. And next week we will give out the first black box
cube,
black cube. Call it.
I mean, you can call it a box, but cube sounds cooler.
It's a black cube. My apologies.
Yes, unfolding black cube.
So I think tomorrow is the last day to sign up, or
teleport and
yeah, you would have to teleport the entry to the mailbox to get in on this month. But we have 2 black cubes for Invisible Sun. MSRP is $300 on these. It's over 29 pounds worth of gaming awesomeness. And they're sitting here waiting to go to a nice home. So
you can either use it to play an RPG or crush a small child with it. It's a lot of weight.
It's not that much. It's not that much difference from my 6-year-old daughter.
Yeah, well, the thing too, but it's compact, so it's it's 30 pounds. That's not that much, and it's a spot. You're like, oh,
it's like dropping a little TV on you if you're like, oh, my leg.
So the ways to normally get in on this is to go to the website, go to the contests and giveaway section, fill out a form, mail that to us. Sadly, post office is not going to be able to deliver to get that by tomorrow, but if you want to go that route, you can do so for next month. You just have to write the correct
and every month. Month, people can, if you want to get involved with our giveaways and you don't want to become a patron, you can go to the website, download the form, and send those in. Or you could just be a patron for $1.
One entry per envelope per month, that kind of thing. But as Dave says, also even $1 a month over on Patreon will get you an entry into this monthly contest, monthly giveaway, whatever you want to call it. It's not affiliated with Patreon, YouTube, or any of that kind of stuff. It's just we like doing this because people like giveaways, so we like to give stuff away. So today or tomorrow is the last day to get in on the Invisible Sun for October.
Occasionally, it's loosely associated with us and the stuff we're giving away because companies from time to time are nice enough to donate stuff for the giveaways.
But in this case, we bought those.
Yes.
Yeah. In this case, when we backed the Kickstarter, we backed it at the retailer level so we can give some extras to give away. We also have the Easy Roller Dice Gleam contest going on. We were doing that every month until we stop. And there's a link in the description for that. You can there's 13 different ways you can enter. And then,
the winner gets a tray, a set of dice, a cup, a bag, and a set of metal dice.
Yes, yeah. They have these 3 packs of dice that are not metal, a set of metal dice, a dice bag, dice tray. There might be something else in the cup. So yeah, there's 5 things. So it's cool. Easy Roller Dice is sponsored that. They're nice enough to do that. So that's always something fun that we get to do for you guys.
And gals.
And gals. Folks.
Peoples. Everyone's.
Speaking of Patreon, the end of the month's coming up. What do you got in store for people coming in October?
Ooh, October is... We're gonna delve into the plane of shadow a little bit. A while back, we did a video about making a shadow beholder. We can't make a beholder, but we can make a beholder-like creature.
The shadow dreadsphere.
Shadow dreadsphere, void eye. I forget the name that we used for it.
Void eye.
Void eye. Yes, the void eye, and there's an adventure in there that you kind of have to do without being able to see. There's NPCs in there. There's magic items.
Oh, man.
There's spells in there. There's all kinds of stuff. And we are getting ready to switch over our Patreon. And if you're at the level where you're getting everything, don't worry, nothing is really going to change for you. if you're at a level where you're getting most of the stuff or some of this stuff, for you the change is going to be the biggest because you're probably going to get more. And for everyone at a certain level, we're going to open up access on Discord where we're going to start playtesting stuff that we create. So we're going to put it in there for you guys to play with and let us know what you think and how it works out in your game. We're going to be doing the stuff that we've been doing. It'll just be all released as one bundle. We're not going to break it up the way we've been doing. And Patreon will get early access. You guys get it a month early, and then it'll go out on the store the previous month or some months after. That part we're not entirely sure, but you'll get it at least 30 days early. You'll get access to the Discord channel that is going to only be for patrons at a certain level. It's not even going to be that high of a level, under $5. And in there, Nerdarchy will be hanging out there a lot more, as well as putting stuff in there to play test. Like, so you guys will get to be beta testers, and you'll get to see what we're working on first.
Got another super chat from Sack Slappy Happy. He says, it's an understandable slip up. Blue Dragon, Viagra, weird layer effect, though.
Thank you for the super chat.
So, thank you. I'm not even going to attempt to repeat that name because I know I'll do something up.
I was very careful.
You're very careful. Perfect. Yeah, so we've got some things that are coming up in the near future, some changes. Next week, the new season of Save or Dice starts, and Guy from... I always mess up the name of his channel because it's super long. It's like How to Be a Better Game Master, I think. Yep. And he's going to be running in his homebrew world that he created. I don't know if he created for this game or he had it before, but basically it's actually kind of similar to a world that I created years ago where the world was kind of like being blown up, but this cabal, I don't know if it was wizards or clerics or mystics, actually enact this ritual to keep it from blowing up all the way. So there's like 3 different levels to it. Like there's these floating spheres of Earth at 2 different levels, and then like the core planet itself, and like he's got dwarves that are ice miners.
Cool.
Because like certain places are like super hot and desert like, and they export ice, to those places. The surface world itself is like it's full of undead and other horrible things. Mostly everyone else lives at these upper spheres. I think it's over on World Anvil if you guys wanted to check it out. But it sounds really cool. So I think we're going to start off with a hot air balloon as
Nice.
kind of like our mobile base.
Nice.
So there's airships, there's hot air balloons that I can tell. But the spheres concept is really cool. There's a monster or sub race of a monster called drop goblins. So, and I think he said that it was created by one of his subscribers.
They just like do elbow drops out of airships, and if they miss, they're never seen from again.
Well, no, I think there's something about mining or harvesting things that are like underneath the spheres as well.
Oh, okay.
And then there's I know there's also like roving bands of gangs of like children that go around and scavenge stuff as well. So he made up like a bunch of custom backgrounds for it. So I don't know if that's something that's available somewhere on his channel. I don't know if they've got an associated website, but I do know that he's putting a bunch of that stuff on World Anvil, so you'll be able to go check it out.
Awesome.
And so I believe Monday afternoon we're going to have a trailer dropping for that game across all of our channels, so you guys can keep your eyes peeled for that.
And then the game will be Wednesday night.
Awesome. I know there was a script that Guy wrote that he sent out to all of us, and we had to record lines for it. So it should be fun. It'll be
I want to see that when it's all put together.
Yeah, I tried to bring my A game, guys, and represent for Nerdarchy. You have to let me know what you think.
We got your game tonight.
We do, man. We haven't played. So the last time we played, we didn't play my game. We played a one shot.
Right.
For kind of loosely based off of some of the ideas and concepts that Nate came up with, Path of the Dragon, Fortunately, it's not a recorded game because we had a new player that isn't really a gamer. So we wanted to make it as welcoming and as comfortable as possible. So we didn't do our normal game because it seems like a bad idea to just throw someone who's had maybe one session of D&D years ago into playing 16th level characters.
Or like, okay, well, we're going to put you at a table with a bunch of veteran gamers and throw you up on YouTube for people to
ridicule, probably. Mostly ridicule.
I would just say comment. I wouldn't leave it.
Then clearly you haven't seen some of the comments on YouTube.
I know.
Our fans tend to be really good people, but not everyone is kind on the interwebs. I'm just saying.
I'm well aware.
Be kind, people. Be kind. Yeah, so it was just easier to do a one-shot, and it was kind of like for our buddy Mark's birthday. And that means it's been like 2 months since we've actually played the actual campaign, and I have no idea what's going on.
So it's been more than 2 months because it's been more than a month since that game. But I believe I was trying to, get research on the Empyrean, so we would be able to properly defeat.
Oh, I think I know what it was. The holiday, the festival of what was it? Festival of Friends? Is that what we're calling it? Festival of Friends what's the word I'm looking for? To celebrate. That's not the word I was looking for, but I'll use that word instead. To celebrate the coming of the Dragonborn and the Dragon Realms, and also building the wall around Griffin Gap.
Well, it's about the elves, the dwarves, the humans, the Dragonborn, all occupying the same space, with a halfling mayor, and not really having the typical problems.
But the wall was christened on the Festival of Friends.
Yes.
Which was
these are our friends. I'm keeping everybody else out.
Dragonborn, dragons, we're really glad you're here. Glad you came. Wall. So.
Wall.
Ben Carroll had a pretty cool comment back to the dungeon creation. You could trap the player in a sinkhole, turn the sinkhole into glass. It's trapped in a glass coffin that the dragon can display as a trophy or warning. That's a pretty cool trap.
If they die, but ultimately, I don't think the goal is to ultimately kill them, right?
No, but it's a cool trap.
It is a cool idea.
Fail a couple deck saves,
you
never know.
Cage, we'll say that.
So, you could turn it into a cage that they're trapped. You could have that where other people are in these glass coffins. So, it's happened to others.
Yeah, you find that
and they're
on display.
They're there as a warning.
Almost like bugs trapped in amber. Is that the idea? Which is kind of cool. And then what if they got animated as undead or something? You could definitely do some cool
glass zombies.
Glass zombies, or maybe you did like a
some kind of tormented undead because you're trapped in this prison and you can see everything around you can't get out.
Yeah, like
they're good undead.
Maybe they're good undead.
Like ghosts. Sorry guys,
Poltergeist.
My brain is not working. When you can move through things, insubstantial.
Yes.
Well, they're insubstantial
Incorporeal.
And incorporeal. That is the word I wanted. Thank you, Doug. I don't know why my brain is not working today. I have to get something.
Mine's not.
I need to get something to eat or something. No, but the idea is that they're incorporeal undead, and you can't actually kill them by attacking their incorporalness. You have to attack their bodies that are trapped in. Someone make notes. We got to make this monster.
Someone record this.
Someone record this. Yeah. No, but so they're undead, and you find their bodies. Maybe they're tied to the bodies. They can't travel far from them, and the way to actually destroy them or kill them or even hurt them is to get at the bodies. So you have to attack the amber the bodies are trapped in, and then once you crack the shell outside, you can get the gooey goodness inside, and finally put them to rest or murder them, as the case may be. I just finished 13 seasons of Supernatural, so you're probably going to have to douse the bones and saw and then burn them.
Like mini phylacteries.
Yeah.
It's a phylactery factory.
It's like phylacteries, but ones that you can see.
Can we make that a product? I want to make that a product.
Phylactery factory?
Yes.
Put it on the list.
I don't care what it does. I just want that as the title.
9 out of 10 witches recommend
The Phylactery Factory.
Now in multiple flavors.
Oh, jeez.
It's like whatever's above an artifact. That's what that is.
Perfect. So what is the next fan game we have coming up? We announced that next week, right?
I'm running my game tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm still putting together. I've got my 4 players. I'm still putting together exactly what I'm doing. I've got a rough outline of my start. So that'll be interesting if you want to watch that game tomorrow night. It's one of you two next, obviously.
Probably me. It feels like it's been long enough.
I don't remember what the order is.
Sadly, I don't either. I've got a list over there, so I just check.
So next week we'll announce what it is. Also, comment on this video after it goes up. What topic would you like us to cover next week? We're trying to be a little more topical with our with the weekly live chat. So we go in and we have something that we're going to discuss. I mean, obviously, we're going to veer off of that at some point because we always do.
We always veer. We always have stuff that we want to cover. Where we're going, what we're doing, that kind of stuff. Prizes, giveaways. That stuff is always going to be there.
But if we start with a track, we can at least have something to go back onto, like path we're traveling on.
Also, very soon. Well, let's see. I guess I think we're allowed to announce it. So Nerdarchy is going to be featured as a castle to play D&D in England next year. I believe we're looking at the end of June. It's going to be a little bit before we put the details out there, but hopefully there are some openings and it doesn't book too fast. So if anyone wants to play D&D in a castle with Nerdarchy, you will absolutely be able to do that. That'll be a thing. We're going to have tables there, so we'll be running days. We'll be running 2 games a day for the duration that we're there.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, Nate, we're going to England.
I thought, all right, sounds good to me.
So, and things have changed. No, so we originally were going to go as night DMs at one of the castles, but they added another castle. They've offered it to Nerdarchy. So we're going to be launching the details within the next couple of weeks.
I see. That's why things changed. Gotcha.
That is why things changed. It all actually came together over the last day or two. So this is going to be fun and exciting. We're going to be able to slap the Nerdarchy name and logo on a castle. And the castle that we're doing is actually one of the few castles that still has a moat.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Even more excited. Yes.
Yes, so D&D in a castle with Nerdarchy, and you'll be trapped behind a moat.
Once the drawbridge goes up.
So definitely looking forward to that next summer.
And it was so new, the information didn't even get to me yet.
Things are moving fast.
Yes.
I got emails came in last night around 3 a.m, I think. 2 a.m.
I had just gotten to bed before that, yeah.
Yeah, I was still up, and I was like, I'll look at this Sunday, and then I started looking at this. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, with some more of the details. So that's coming. That's going to be coming up. We've got Gamehole coming up. We've got PAX Unplugged coming up. We are going to be quite busy and all over the place.
Yeah, plus all the other normal things that that we've done in the years past. You'll be going to Origins. I should be going back to Gen Con, next summer.
Well, who knows what we're going to do next year because of, some of the other things.
That's true. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we might have to shift things.
That's true.
Travel gets expensive.
It does.
And then, for you guys, it's always hard because of
work,
families. At least with me, my kids are all grown. So that part isn't really an issue. I could free range them pretty much.
Right.
I mean, by the time anything comes up, my son will actually be an adult. So this is his last year of high school.
Yeah, a couple months, and then he's official.
And then my daughter is, she's 14 and an insane teenager, but that's a whole nother story. She's fairly self-sufficient. Where Nate's got 15 kids, all under the age of 10.
And new one coming, so I've got about 18 years before my last one becomes an adult. Yeah. So,
what is the age range? Negative something to
negative 3 months to 10, and
that's a lot of wrangling.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever considered possibly hiring a roper?
A roper who wrangles?
Yes.
I like this idea. Where would I find plans for a roper who wrangles?
Well, you could go on the DMs Guild to the Nerdarchy publishing page where we do have the Roper Wrangler, which is a pay-what-you-want product you can download. There may be some links in the description. I don't know if I put them there or not.
I don't think there is for that one, but I could be wrong.
And then there is also over there we have a handful of character guides that you can download as well. With more coming. This week we're going to do one. Next week we're doing one. They've been a lot of fun for us. We just shot one today.
I love that one. It's really hard to not want to make that character.
The Min-Max Munchkin Power Game character build. That is Adventure League's legal, just to annoy all those Adventurers League's GMs out there.
I was teasing to a couple of players in my RPG Crate game last night. Like, I didn't tell them anything about how we came up with stuff. I just gave them, like, a bit of the punchline. And they're like, and I'm like, nope, that's all I'm saying. You're going to have to wait for it to come out in a week and a half.
Let's just say the minimum initiative that you could get with this build when it's finally done and up is
30.
No, I wasn't going to tell them the number.
Oh, oops.
I was just going to put out there it's the impossible DC.
Oh. Oops.
And they could have looked it up and figured it out.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But you don't say... You don't hit numbers against Mr. Exactitude here. Just saying like, oh, you want to know that number? I got it. I'll tell you it.
But, to figure out how and to figure out, what it is, you're going to have to wait for the video.
Indeed.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to build. That one was challenging. I like the idea of us doing these Adventurers League builds because it limits us at least a little bit in as to what we can do.
The book plus one, does make a hardship, and there's times it's like, but I wanna, can't.
Yeah, we should do a Dakani chain fighter next.
Okay.
It's a specific thing from Eberron for the Hobgoblins.
That sounds cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, could definitely go down that road.
Yeah.
You guys want to see that?
And also, hopefully, you guys like the new series we launched this past week? I think it is the What's the Best Race for Class X series. That was fun to do. It seems like people were digging that. It's also something I see online that comes up a lot. People always want to know. That's why we decided to do it. It's we saw a bunch of posts just that week or the week before going, what's the best for this? What's the best for that? And I'm like, that could be fun and interesting.
If people are asking the questions, let's do the research and offer up our findings.
Yes, so we're about to shoot the next one for that, which will be Fighter, which, man, that was brutal. There are so many good races to play the Fighter.
Yeah, and many, almost heated discussions, trying to figure out, well, what about this? And it's like, no, that's clearly not going to work. But no, really it does if you look at it this way. So.
But to see all that, you'll have to check out the video when it actually does come out. We're shooting it today, and then...
So it'll be out 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now. Well, there you
go. Basically, yeah.
Hey, if you want pro-level editing, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think that takes us right up to the hour. It's time for us to go grab some lunch, so then maybe my brain will start working again. With that, until next time.
Stay nerdy.